The Aston Martin V12 Vantage S is today on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars with Thomas. We'll give you a basic overview of the current Aston Martin model range, then especially about the Roadster, the small Roadster, the Vantage of course in the exterior, interior and the driving experience. And I can tell you so far there's really a lot to say about this very emotional car, on both good and maybe also on bad sides. So look forward for that. Let's start. So where are we in the Aston Martin model range? There's the old classic DB9, the Grand GT, which is longer than that one, with the Vanquish as a very top GT model. Then there's the Rapide, it's a four-door model, the sedan compared, for example, to the Porsche Panamera. There's this one here, the Vantage. This one is the smaller Roadster, 4 meters 38 in length. It's available as a V8 and a V12. Later on a little bit more to these differences here. This one here is the V12 S, so the very, very top version. So this very car is, from the technology aspect, from 2005, and that's a basic problem of the Aston Martin model range. They have very old cars in general, even if some versions came later on in the model cycle, but maybe this will soon quite change. We expect some new models and updates from Aston Martin. Let's see if they will deliver that one. The inaugural design of the Vantage is from famous designer Henrik Fisker, and that also shows us the classic design with this Aston Martin fish mouth here, and generally a very flat one. The V12 has these huge openings here to cool down the engine on the upper side, and it's also very impressive. And of course then these rather round headlights we have here, so the classic Aston Martin design. The V12 Vantage S has now also this carbon fiber wing at the lower part. It sits very low, actually a little bit too low. This one can be damaged quite easily, and you know, when you damage carbon fiber, there's nothing about repairing, you have to replace it then. In the side profile, this beautiful British design with not so many design lines. Keep it simple, but keep it beautiful. Then 19-inch rims we have here in black, and also from serial production with the V12 comes the carbon ceramic brakes in the S version, and so really a lot of power in the brakes then. By the way, that the side mirrors are attached with two columns here, that is also in this racing style, and carbon fiber cover. By the way, if you wonder about this, what is this strange paint? It's a special kind of thing for a motor show, because it was displayed there, this very car. So don't be disturbed by that. I wouldn't pick this wrapping here either. It looks a little bit like in a circus. But what is quite nice, you see different country flags below there, and that does actually fit to Autogefühl because we're here a global community. Very strong shoulders at the rear part, I really love it, especially also, I'll tell you later, you can also see them always in the rear side mirrors then. That is a very nice thing. And those two hoods, they also make good transition from the interior to the exterior. So of course, one of the main factors of an Aston Martin, you see it definitely, is the exterior design. Finally, the rear traditional Aston Martin headlights, sorry, not headlights, taillights here, with this curved style. And I think it's beautiful that they keep this design scheme actually. and a lot of carbon fiber elements in the top car version here, also here, and also the lower part, and huge exhausts, and they deliver a really great sound. I will soon show you that, but maybe you've also seen something or heard something of that in some of our driving shots. Let's open the hood, and there it is still that the hood goes to the very front. Well, you saw that some are split in here now meanwhile because of the insurance cost. Here they don't care about it, it's all about the design. Wow, look at that. That is really amazing. 6 liter of displacement V12 engine, 580 horsepower, 3.9 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers for the convertible, 3.7 seconds it would be for the coupe version of this car. Really huge and a very great sound. Everything is very well processed. Also hand built in England, says here. Final inspection by Jake Davis. And well, that is one of the reasons you buy an Aston Martin, because of those details in here. So very important with the convertible, how to open and close the hood. And I'll also show you later in a driving review. Here it is possible, as it's soft top, also to do it while driving, but now doing it statically. And you can check the time, actually how long it takes down there in our counter. And yeah, it could be a little bit faster, I guess. But usually what you think about soft top, hard top, I'm usually more a friend of the soft top version, because you can open and close them while driving. That's when the next rain shower is arriving, for example, very important. So that's it for that process. And now we can check the detailed process again when we open it again, that you can better see how it really works in the back. Let's go to the opening again. It is, and especially, yeah, very exciting how that whole stuff lifts up there, and then you can also see in the detail where are those overroll bumpers that would be popping out when you overroll, and very nice those hoods that close above there. Beautiful key we have here, some kind of artwork, I think, Aston Martin logo here, and you will soon see that there's also a special function where to put this key in. But let's open it so far, and then we get inside right here. It's a very neat solution, and you see the doors are kind of partially wing doors, at least a little bit. You see that they open also a little bit to the upside. It's kind of interesting. If you take a first look at the interior, we got the leather equipment here now. I don't like it, you know why. There's also an Alcantara version available that looks also very good and also is better in comfort. However, brown style, I'm not sure if that's really fitting to the color here. The Aston Martin interior, you see, over the years, not so much has been done. This steering wheel we also have for a lot of years already, and it kind of looks a little bit outdated. However, the processing of the materials, also with the contour stitches, and also soon show you with the buttons, that is all very well done. Also from design, for example, with the integrated headrest, that is all very beautiful. So this is the style I also like about British cars. Really this, yeah, this sensual design most of the British cars have. I really like that. And indeed, an Aston Martin is hand-built. You see that also at this badge, and it will also say in the hood, a real aluminum badge. And by the way, the handbrake, it's a very classic one at the left side. Maybe you remember that from the Jaguar XK8, the very old model, where it's also the same side. Let's now get inside. Of course, it's relatively low, but of course not that low as in the Lamborghini. Closing the doors. And well, it is a Roadster. You don't have too much space, but you don't also feel kind of narrowed or caged in. Can be a little bit compared to the Jaguar F-Type space-wise, I would say. And you know, we also got, it's kind of a short Roadster. But I think still for tall people, it is suitable. However, on the long term, the form of the seats, is it suitable for the long-term run? I would say not 100%. It's not really an uncomfortable car, no way. But I also have experienced more comfortable sports cars so far. What I already mentioned shortly is that the interior in the processing is actually quite good. I'm satisfied with it. Look at this middle console here. I think it's very beautiful done. Sometimes also reminds me a little bit of Bentley, because they also have the style with this huge middle console in that part, and where then we got this even area in the middle part. Of course, you have to clean all the black shiny elements always, so they don't get dusty. The screen is hidden below here. I will also soon show you that. And also when we're turning the knobs, that's actually also quite okay from the quality. I don't like it that you can put it like here, but that's also the function, that you can also go right and left and so on. And those buttons here, they work. They are not really buttons that can be pressed. Therefore, you can make it look cleaner. They are those touch buttons that work then. And now I put in the key, and that is very exciting, because you can put it up here. And it also does work this way around, but always check that the logo is sitting upright. And then you put it one in. The screen pops out here. There's the rear view camera still in the view. And then I can also show you here in details how the buttons work. So let's check the infotainment system. It is actually quite intuitive to control. You control it with the central control knob below there. It's not a touch screen. And then you can check vehicle status, reverse camera, and GPS. I also connected my iPhone with it. In the sound system, it's a Bang & Olufsen. It's very refined sound, very clear sound, by the way. And but it is also not that kind of updated, because when I first took a look at the GPS screen, well, it does work good with putting in the address. That's quite okay. But if we just go to the, already starts here. You know, you're not always quite sure how to get back. That's a little bit complicated then to go back here again. There's no real button to go back quite fast, and you have to go here again. And as I first saw the map, I was really laughing out loud. Seriously, I was like, that cannot be. I mean, look at that. That is so outdated. Can't be the truth in the over 200,000 euros car. Seriously. However, the GPS does work quite well, so I also found my way here, but we can surely expect something more of that. But I hope so. It has been said that next year Aston Martin will launch a lot of new models, and well, maybe they will also address that problem then. This is, by the way, these central control knob. You can turn left and right. However, sometimes you have to go then left or right, and that's also not very logical. Inside a menu, I'm not sure, it's kind of random. You also got shortcuts, and they work as touch buttons, for example, to go back here, or to go to the navigation, or back to the general menu. The same is for the vents. This can be controlled by the turning, and then touch buttons for where it's coming from. It's actually working quite good. You also hear it, maybe that is another feedback. It's kind of a sound feedback we have. The same is with the temperature here, for example. I wish it would be 22 degrees now, but it is not. Adaptive suspension is below here, and it's also a nice function that they are behind this fake glass. I'll also tell you more about it when we drive the car, and also the ESC can be turned off when you're in sport mode, and then you hold that. But the car already has so much wheel spin, I'll tell you later, that you should better leave it on all the time. Driver's point of view. The steering wheel, the controls here for the cruise control on the right, volume on the left. Again, this is not really a hybrid quality. It really feels very outdated. But the rest actually is quite nice processed. So that's the point of view from the driver then. And then the instruments, also rather classical one. Just in the middle part, you have the digital screen and can also show the consumption. However, I got the ice warning now because we have low temperatures, and then I cannot get this away. So I cannot access the information for the consumption as long as we have the ice warning. It's kind of a strange thing. Consumption, by the way, we had about 13 liters on 1 kilometer so far, but it will surely move up if you play around a little bit more. Storage spaces at the inside of the doors is very limited, actually. But again, very nice design with those different kind of colors of the inside of the doors. Then with the glove box, we have to put a separate button here. Then it pops down. I'm not sure. I usually prefer the classic way. Then in the middle part, by the way, this is a seat control is right here, the inside. It's also kind of strange. However, this is a small part here for the mobile phone or for the garage beeper. Then a 12-volt power supply right here. Very shallow beverage holder that is not really effective. Where should I put my beverages here that they don't fall off? Then it's kind of strange that I had to put this one up to move this one here with another 12-volt power supply and USB slots in here. Then you have to not to put your hand in here, because when I move down that again, oh, that could hurt actually. And another storage space is in the middle part between the seats. That's actually larger, maybe for your gloves or something like that in winter. And behind the seats, there you can also store something. And the emergency box, with plasts and so on. This is actually hidden here inside, behind the seat. I can also open that one. Not too easy, but if you move that one up here, then it's possible to access that one. You can also just remove that one. You see, first aid kit is, for example, hidden in there. Another flaw is, by the way, when you're using the manual handbrake, sometimes the system doesn't really get it, kind of that you released it. And then it says still got the handbrake and you cannot drive. Then you have to do it again and again and again, and then finally the car realizes it. That is another factor which you account usually for this, some people say that is kind of this British car flaws. I love British cars, but it's actually really the case that sometimes you have some flaws that aren't really that bad, but just kind of strange. For example, with my Jaguar XK, I had it. That's the hood protection system, for passengers. It always, like every third time, it showed me, it is kind of, there's something wrong with it. It wasn't wrong, but just the electronics are showing something else. This is what people call when those British car flaws, that they maybe sometimes something is shown which is actually not true, which doesn't endanger you, but it's just somehow funny. The trunk can be opened right here. Actually it hurts when you press that in with your finger. I'm not sure why. I mean, it looks good actually, but why should you do that? And so let's see. I would then maybe rather do it with the key. Yeah, that's the better way, so you don't have to hurt your finger. That's the trunk. You see, 2 backpacks are fitting in here, not much more. And this is actually the hidden wind cut, and I'll show you how to put that one in. So first put it out here. Well, that's the way. And then we can flip it out. And this is, by the way, very beautifully done. Those hoods kinda, they transport the convertible form to the rear part. This is, by the way, when you roll over, then they pop out and protect you against rolling over. This is the hidden exactly there. And then you can just slide them in here with the wind cut. And it's very important because we have tested here now in cold conditions. And this wind cut is actually very effective. And if you're also a convertible owner, you know that your wind cut is one of your favorite parts at the car. And you see it fits perfectly in here. And also when the roof is closing, it's kind of exactly right here. First time I closed the roof, then I was a little bit afraid, but it, of course it does fit then perfectly here. Let's start driving the Aston Martin Vantage V12 Roadster. The S version, as I told you. And we also start again here in the parking lot, because that already shows you how to control the car, in your everyday driving life, because you have to find a parking box or something like that, and also turn around the car in very narrow stuff and so on. And the key, by the way, you put it in here, and I always like it when the logo is upside, I've shown you. And when you then press the key, nice, and hold the brakes at the same time, V12 comes to life. And we start with a closed roof, because we want to show you both actually. We start with a closed roof then, but already with a closed roof you hear the great sound then. We have a rear view camera in the front, which has a rather poor solution, to be honest. And the steering wheel, when you go just on standstill here right now, the steering wheel is very hard to turn, so no real electronic support you got here. That's kind of a little bit annoying then when you're standing still. Also with the throttle, it's not that easy to control, just to go very slowly then. So, first gear. And first thing I can mention from the transmission, and I was really flabbergasted as I started with this car for the very first time, and I will soon show you why. You will be surprised yourself if you don't really know it yourself already. And the reason is it's a very special transmission here, but not special in a way that it's good. So I'm first gear right now, automatic gearbox. See that? And I will say, what is this? And the reason is, well, it reminded me of a Citroën C4 Cactus, because this one here is a 7-speed automated manual transmission. That means it's not a manual gearbox, but it's also not a standard automatic converter gearbox, where it's really like done properly, or not a dual clutch transmission, where we have 2 transmissions and they switch gears automatically. Then this one kind of means it is basically still a manual transmission, but this one is controlled by the machine. And that means that you have a behavior like you would be manually shifting. That means when I keep on the throttle, as you've just seen, it goes like, and that is really a very weird feeling, and I wouldn't expect it in such an expensive car here. So the solution is kind of you use the shifting pedals at the steering wheel and kind of imitate a manual shifting, or not use the shifting pedals but just rely on the automatic box, but lift your throttle. So that means you would need to lift the throttle when the car is shifting actually. You can do this and you can get used to it, but now I know why someone I know actually bought the car as a manual transmission, but that's only possible for the V8. The V12 version is just available with a 7-speed automatic manual transmission, and I can really not recommend you that. So, sound insulation, by the way, well, you hear a lot of the engine always, of course, but I've tested it already on the motorway as well, the sound insulation, and I cannot really say it is good. So it is still loud in here, not comparable, for example, to those new Audi acoustic soft covers, or maybe to a car which has a hard top roof to close then. That's about the closed one, and well, space I've shown you. I got some space above my head, so I don't feel too caged in, although I'm quite tall. Good thing about the soft top is, and we've experienced that one also worse so far, because there were also some old soft tops where you had to stand still while opening them. Luckily, that is not the case right here, so we can open that one. Also, when we're driving, was 20 kilometers now, and yeah, it could be a little bit faster, but overall, I think, yeah, I'm still quite satisfied with that top. So, shown you before, there it is. And what is, by the way, also when driving always nice with that car, when you look at the mirrors left and right, you see in the side mirrors those very strong shoulders of the car. And that is something very nice, very emotionally, of course. We've also mounted a small wind cut behind us, so that should actually reduce some wind noise, I hope. Yesterday I've tested the car without the wind cut, and I'm really looking forward to the difference now actually, because the wind cut can actually make a huge difference. From what I can tell you so far, it is not a car which you use all season for open top driving, because there does come a lot wind in here, and you know it's kind of cold today, so we can really very well test that. But I already feel now at about 50 kilometers an hour, the wind cut does have a great effect. So you really need that one if you want to lengthen your convertible driving season. So it's not a convertible which you drive open top all season, like for example BMW 4 Series, Mercedes SL, Audi A3 convertible, which are very good wind features. It's more like this pure Roadster style where you also get a lot of wind inside, so more actually for the summertime. When you're driving very slowly, you don't feel so much negative effect of this automated manual transmission, because obviously, first of all, there are not so many shifting processes, but also the effect like that you hop forward and then back again, it rather plays an effect when you're driving, when you're pushing the throttle harder, because then you also got a bigger RPM change, of course. So that's really fine than when you're just kind of cruising. By the way, another quality flaw is the turning indicator. It's kind of loose, and always when you set the turning indicator, you think of, oh my God, I'm sitting in such a cheap car. And I don't really understand it, because everything else I see here also while driving is indeed very well processed, and I like the middle console with all the buttons, for example. But always when I turn on the indicator, I think, what is this? And I think for over 300,000 euros, you have to pay attention to those details, because they really make a difference. In general, of course, open top driving with a great sounding engine, that is always something you have to enjoy actually. And I do always enjoy that. Put me that in the comments if you also enjoy that. That is, I think, pure Autogefühl, pure car feeling, as I would say. Doesn't have to be this, racing from corner to corner. It's more about pleasure. Also, getting all the smells you have when driving an open top car, and really feel more connected either to the city or to nature. That is also very important. About the steering here now, when we are driving, as I said, as we were driving kind of slowly, the steering already felt kind of stiff. And I can stress that you don't have such electronic support from the steering. And well, I think it is indeed also a matter of taste. You can say that it's good, or you can say it's bad. To me, I would like a little bit more support. Also, that the steering is a little bit more progressive. When I'm turning left and right here now, I don't get such an immediate response, and that is meanwhile with new sports cars also better. Here again we see that it's basically a car that is 10 years old. You really also feel it when steering actually. Of course, the suspension is rather stiff, sporty, as we also expect from a Roadster. We can set an adaptive suspension here. That means I can also go to sport mode of the adaptive dampers. It doesn't make such a difference, to be honest. But well, I do get some more support then. Now we're getting to some rough terrain here. Also getting louder, as you hear. And there we really feel it's not only a stiff suspension. I'm also not convinced of the suspension just from the technological part, because there are also, stiff sports cars, for example, like an Audi R8 or Mercedes AMG models, but they are kind of refined stiff. This suspension more reminds me of the Jaguar XK, which was also, kind of rough in some parts. For example, when going on some single bumps, you feel that's not about contact to the road, but that it doesn't also filter some things properly. So also a little bit disappointed of the suspension, but I usually let it to the normal mode here as well. Then they brought the driving modes and are turning up the RPMs. There's also a sport mode available. Now you hear that the RPMs are turned up higher, that the shifting process is later. But then again, you can get this hop from the automated manual transmission. So let me test some right and left here again, because the road is kind of open and we get a bumpy road. You see how rough the suspension is actually when we are on rough terrain. Now we're getting on flatter terrain again. Hear the difference. And then it's getting rough again. So it's a really good test road actually to really bring the worst of the suspension or the best in this case. And maybe also from the steering here. You see, it's not directly transporting my commands. It's a little bit delayed, and that should be better for a very good Roadster. So I think as we're in a sport mode now, we can also turn up the RPMs a little bit higher. There you see, That is, of course, especially when you drive with an open top now, always creates a lot of emotions when you hear that great sound. However, I've also heard from someone that have driven actually V8 and the V12 both cars, that the V8 sound was supposed to be a little bit better, even a little bit more growling. And yeah, so let's go here. Wow, that is so brutal. And as we're in the sport mode, more RPM, more torque is allowed as well. And you've maybe also realized it or heard that I had already now some wheel spin, although I wasn't really pushing the throttle hardly through. So you really have to be careful, especially in slippery conditions, because so much power is applied on the rear wheels. So let's see here, we have to turn right here. Did you see that? I pushed down the throttle, wanted to accelerate, but then the automated manual transmission just shifted down and I was kind of denied to give the power. So that is actually then better maybe to use the shifting pedals here. Then you can better control that. So when I, for example, now go from second to third gear, I lift the throttle in the shifting process, to show you. There have you maybe heard it as well. I was in second gear, accelerated a little bit, then lifted the throttle for a short time and then used the pedal to shift up. And that is actually then a smoother shifting process as I would have done by the automated manual gearbox. And so I can really understand when people put this car here, rather the V8, and then switch to the manual gearbox. That actually makes more sense in this case. Although I am in general really a big fan of good automatic transmissions, but here it can actually make sense. So let's now push the throttle even harder and use this shifting technique. Realize that we got a little bit of wheel spin and I was like just at the middle part of the throttle, so really incredible power on the rear wheels. I would say maybe even too much power, because it can be a little bit hard to control the car. And you know, I'm in sport mode, yes, but I haven't even turned the ESC off. So it is actually also possible to use a track ESC, the stability control, that you have even more spin out at the car, for example. So that is also possible then. Wow. And you here it is getting quite loud here. That was like 120 kilometers an hour now. So that stresses my point that it's not really a convertible for open top riding on the motorway. More like really maybe for the Californian summer, I guess. So now fast corner, let's see what the suspension can offer here, and the agility. Yeah, that is really great now. Wow, yeah, with 80 kilometers an hour in this steep corner here, great sound from behind. That is for enjoyment. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, playing above us. Let's now shift down. Hear this great sound. This is really some fun here with Autogefühl. What do you think, guys? Way to go this corner. Yeah. Yeah, wow. I think this is what the car is made for. That is really a lot of fun. And, you know, besides all the things I criticized, when you experience something like that, then you say, oh, thank God I own this car. So this is kind of the two sides of this car. You just have to be aware of that. And therefore, actually, we are doing these reviews for you. I hope you also enjoyed our driving part here. Now my conclusion on the Aston Martin Vantage here in this V12 version and the S-Top version. First of all, I would go for the V8 definitely, and I would also pick the manual transmission in here, because the automated manual transmission, that is really rubbish, let's be very honest. But in general, I mean, the exterior is really great, Aston Martin style, and I think this is not outdated, because the car is definitely still from 2005. You feel it in a lot of technology features here, definitely. But the exterior is so timeless this car will also be beautiful in 20, 30 or 50 years. Definitely, and that is one of the main reasons to go for this car. The interior is, from the design, also really great. I really like it. Also the refinement is still okay. However, there also, especially from the infotainment side, really needs to have some updates. Driving, yes, of course, it was emotional with the V12, with the sound. However, the V8 would also be great. And a lot of power we have here, of course. Then the dynamics were also great because we have this almost 50-50 weight balance, so a lot of fun to drive, definitely. But then again, you have this technology aspects that the suspension is not that great. Actually, it could be more comfortable, although it is still sporty. There are a lot of better stuff offered nowadays. So this also then needs updating. So overall, you get a good design package, definitely, and a classic car. But it's, from the technology aspect, is not worth the money. So of course, still, this is definitely an icon car, no matter what. But they need really technology update now, and maybe they'll soon also deliver that one. So I want to hear your opinions on the car, on all the different aspects we have covered. And I hope I'll also see you at the next Autogefühl episode with Thomas. Thank you for watching.